This is the story of a programmer in the American intelligence who loses his wife to a senseless killing. After the agency refuses to take action, he decides to punish the criminals himself. The film opens with Charlie Heller working quietly in his private shed, fully absorbed in his task, until he is interrupted by his wife, Sarah. She is preparing to travel to London for a professional conference and takes a moment to bid him farewell before leaving an air of normalcy and domestic intimacy behind. Charlie is employed by the CIA as a cryptographer, and the narrative establishes both his professional skill and personal connections. Among these is his friendship with a field agent known only as the Bear, whose life Charlie once saved. In addition, Charlie maintains a secret correspondence with an anonymous contact known as Inquiline, frequently attempting to deduce their location based on subtle clues. Through this communication, Charlie gains access to sensitive intelligence files, eventually uncovering that Director Frank Moore and Deputy Caleb Horowitz have orchestrated unauthorized drone strikes in the Middle East, which they deceitfully disguised as suicide bombings. The story takes a dramatic turn when Director O'Brien and Moore summon Charlie to reveal devastating news. Sarah has been killed during a hostage situation in London. Charlie refuses to accept the reality of her death until he is confronted with surveillance footage showing armed men abducting her. Later, he is presented with her personal belongings and her body. Among these possessions is a puzzle that Sarah had intended to give him as a gift, an emotionally poignant detail that brings Charlie to tears. Fueled by grief and anger, Charlie demands that Moore and Caleb pursue Sarah's killers. They dismiss his plea, asserting that the matter cannot be resolved according to his wishes. Undeterred, Charlie begins a meticulous investigation into the attack, uncovering the identities of the 4 terrorists responsible: Mishka Blazik, Elish, Gretchen Frank, and Horst Schiller, the latter identified as the individual who pulled the trigger. Further analysis of surveillance footage reveals that Sarah had heroically defended another woman, ultimately being taken in her place. Determined to seek justice on his own terms, Charlie requests training to become a field agent, intending to personally track down and confront the 4 terrorists. Moore and Caleb initially ridicule him, but Charlie escalates his threat, warning that he will expose their illegal activities even at the cost of his own imprisonment. He explains that he has implemented a dead man's switch, which will automatically release the incriminating documents to media outlets if he fails to check in every 5 hours. Reluctantly, Moore and Caleb agree to have Charlie stationed at a camp, all the while secretly plotting to have him eliminated. Charlie arrives at Camp Ready, where he is introduced to Colonel Robert Hendo Henderson. During his training, Charlie struggles significantly with hand-to-hand combat and firearms practice, displaying little aptitude for direct violence. However, he demonstrates unexpected expertise in crafting explosives with precision. By the end of the program, Henderson concludes that Charlie lacks the temperament and capability to take a life. Meanwhile, Moore and Caleb continue their efforts to uncover Charlie's supposed dead man's switch. They enlist operatives on the inside to track it down, only to discover that Charlie had been bluffing all along. With this revelation, they issue a direct order to Henderson to eliminate him. Yet by the time the command reaches Henderson, Charlie has already escaped from the camp. Charlie's pursuit begins in Paris, where he tracks down Gretchen. After locating her apartment, he carefully picks the lock and sneaks inside. There, he uncovers details pointing to a clinic where she receives treatment for her allergies. When Gretchen and her partner unexpectedly return, Charlie narrowly escapes detection. From his vantage point, he has a perfect opportunity to shoot her, yet his hesitation and inability to pull the trigger reveal his internal conflict. Undeterred, Charlie adopts a disguise as a doctor to infiltrate the clinic. Once inside Gretchen's room, he locks the door and secretly stuffs pollen into the tube feeding her chamber, deliberately triggering her severe allergy. As she begins to suffocate, Charlie demands information on Horst Schiller's whereabouts. Gretchen appears on the brink of unconsciousness, prompting Charlie to relent and release her. Instead of yielding, however, she launches a sudden attack, forcing a violent struggle between them. Gretchen flees the room and bolts into the street, only to be struck by a car and killed instantly. Seizing the opportunity, Charlie grabs her phone and disappears into the crowd. The trail leads Charlie to Marseille, where Henderson has managed to track him down using Gretchen's recovered phone. Charlie darts through a crowded nightclub in a frantic attempt to evade him, but eventually finds himself cornered at the bar. Just as Henderson is about to close in, Charlie triggers an explosion he had already rigged in the bathroom, using the chaos as cover to make his escape. Charlie reconnects with Inquiline and travels to Istanbul, where her true identity is revealed. She is the widow of a murdered KGB officer named Davies. The two begin working together at her home, successfully tracking Blazek to a hotel in Madrid. There, they discover his peculiar routine. He pays the staff to clear the rooftop pool so he can enjoy it in private. At the hotel, Charlie confronts Blazek during his private swim. He warns him that the pool has been rigged with a device capable of decompressing the glass, causing it to shatter. Blazek, panicked, admits that Schiller has gone into hiding, then attempts to swim to safety. Charlie activates the device, and cracks begin to spread across the pool's glass base until it finally bursts apart, sending Blazek plummeting 16 stories to his death. As Charlie attempts his escape, Henderson once again closes in on him. However, before Henderson can strike, he is ambushed by an operative dispatched by the increasingly suspicious O'Brien. A brutal fight ensues, ending with Henderson being shot, but not before he kills the operative in return, giving Charlie another chance to slip away. Meanwhile, Caleb sends a strike team to Istanbul. Charlie and Davies are warned and attempt to flee, but their vehicle is soon targeted. In the ensuing attack, Davies is fatally shot. Charlie narrowly escapes, grief-stricken by the loss of his ally and friend. Determined to continue his mission, Charlie locates Elish in Romania by posing as an arms dealer. He lures him into opening a briefcase wired with a pressure-triggered bomb that will detonate if he moves away from it. Cornered, Elish reveals that Schiller has already fled Europe and is now hiding aboard a boat in the Baltic Sea. He also provides Charlie with the names of Schiller's closest associates. Despite promising to disarm the bomb, Charlie keeps his word only long enough to extract the information. Once he has what he needs, he leaves Elish to his fate as the device detonates, killing him. All the while, the CIA intensifies its manhunt. Yet Charlie, ever resourceful, stays one step ahead, hacking into their facial recognition systems and redirecting the search to other countries, effectively cloaking his movements as he prepares for the final confrontation. In Primorsk, Charlie is closing in on Schiller's operation when he is unexpectedly approached by the Bear. Loyal to their friendship, the Bear offers to help him escape before the CIA can capture him. But Charlie, still consumed by his mission and unwilling to stop short of justice, refuses to stand down. While investigating the shipyard, Charlie is discovered by Schiller's men and taken captive. He is brought aboard Schiller's vessel for a direct confrontation. Schiller insists that Sarah's death was never intentional, claiming that the police had blocked their only escape route and that her execution was a desperate attempt to show they meant business. Turning Charlie's own actions against him, Schiller argues that the deaths of Blazek, Elish, and Gretchen, brought about by Charlie's hand, were just as necessary to him as Sarah's killing had been to Schiller. To drive the point further, Schiller hands Charlie a gun, daring him to pull the trigger. But Charlie reveals his true plan. He has been stalling, keeping Schiller talking long enough to maneuver the boat into Finnish waters. As soon as the vessel crosses the border, Finnish agents, tipped off in advance by Charlie, storm the ship, arresting Schiller and his crew. Later, Director O'Brien holds a press conference where he announces the public release of classified documents exposing Moore and Caleb's illegal drone strike operations. The two are promptly arrested. O'Brien also confirms to the press that the whistleblower responsible, Charlie, is alive and cooperating with the agency. In the aftermath, Charlie is found by Henderson, who survived his earlier encounter. Henderson admits that he gravely underestimated Charlie's resilience and determination. The film closes on a somber yet hopeful note. Charlie visits Sarah's grave to pay his respects, then returns to his shed. There, he rediscovers a plane she had once given him as a gift. With quiet resolve, he repairs it and takes it outside, setting it free into the sky.